10 are the biggest current WWE superstars that Triple H has fumbled. Number 10, The New Day. One of the standout segments in 2024 saw Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods turn their backs on Big E. The segment was outstanding as all three performers had a sense of realism behind them, and a heel turn for Kingston and Woods was seen as the right step forward for the longevity of the duo in the long term. And following the turn, all wrestling fans could talk about was the angle itself, and for very good reason, but the key was the subsequent follow-up. Unfortunately, Triple H has failed in every single way to present the group in the correct manner. Whilst the promo work from both men has been excellent, this isn't exactly anything new for the duo. They just seem to be lingering around Raw with nothing to do. The heel turn was the awakening that the tag division needed in WWE, yet it took 4 months for the legendary duo to even mention going for the tag titles. Inserting the New Day into the tag title hunt should have been a priority, and hopefully it's not too late to save the heel run from being a complete flop. Number 9, Shinsuke Nakamura. There were a lot of question marks around WWE's call to make Shinsuke Nakamura US champion in 2024. LA Knight was doing extremely well as champion, and it was seen as a backwards move to make Nakamura champion, especially as his work over the past few years has been subpar. As many fans expected, the title reign was abysmal, as Nakamura basically became a side character on television, and fans questioned why WWE even made Nakamura champion in the first place. Nakamura has slowed down in the ring, and his character has been all over the place. This has impacted the fan response to him in everything he does. He barely receives a reaction on TV, and yes, Triple H's booking hasn't been the best for the former NXT champion, yet the issues with Nakamura extend back to his main roster debut in 2017. Nakamura is a name that seems mentally checked out of WWE, and there's likely no way that they can make Nakamura a name that fans can once again take seriously. Number 8, The Wyatt Six. Where oh where are the Wyatt Six? They had such a memorable debut in 2024, and they were the talk of the wrestling world. However, their subsequent appearances haven't exactly been anything special. They mainly feuded with the Final Testament, and this was a feud in which they lost. This didn't exactly do great things for their credibility as a faction, and a lot of the fans said that Triple H was evidently struggling with how to present the group. The group has been off WWE television for some time now, and although it was reported that Uncle Howdy was injured, he has been cleared since the start of 2025. Even if Howdy was injured, they could have easily delivered backstage segments or even vignettes. There's an old expression, out of sight and out of mind, and this is the case with the talented group. There is zero discourse surrounding them on social media, and with WrestleMania 41 just 2 weeks away, there's hardly anyone discussing where the group fit in on the show itself, which is quite alarming. The group have gone from the hottest thing in WWE to a complete afterthought, and it'll be interesting to see how Triple H presents them upon their return to television, as a lot of work is needed to restore their legitimacy and credibility. Number 7, Alexa Bliss. Arguably the biggest pop of the entire 2025 Royal Rumble went to Alexa Bliss. The fans were delighted to see the former women's champion, and it was wonderful to finally see her back in the ring. It was vital that WWE followed this up with some strong booking, and even though they booked Bliss in the annual Elimination Chamber match, she's disappeared from television since. Bliss is one of the most over names in all of WWE, yet they don't think it's appropriate to book her in a program on screen. This makes zero sense, especially with Bliss being assigned to the SmackDown brand. SmackDown is struggling with the 3-hour format, wrestlers left, right and center receiving zero reaction from the crowd, yet WWE is an incredible talent who is universally over, yet they're refusing to book her? What is going on here? Now, it was reported that Bliss was going to be involved in the Wyatt Six story. Whilst this makes sense from a continuity perspective, the Wyatt Six aren't on TV in any capacity, so they needed to pivot. Even if this was WWE's grand plan, the Wyatt Six have never been a group that are present every week on television, so Bliss basically turning into a part-timer is counterproductive, and it's not the best use of her talents. Number 6, Andrade. Andrade is another name that has disappeared completely from WWE TV. When he returned in 2024, he was receiving a great reaction on a weekly basis, and his extended series with Carmelo Hayes was a delight to witness each week. But now Andrade has been pulled from WWE programming, and it's not exactly been made clear why. Some fans are theorizing that it's due to his breakup with Charlotte Flair, and whilst it's unfair to comment on these rumors, hopefully this isn't true. Andrade is one of the best pure wrestlers in the entire company, yet WWE just have zero interest in using him in any capacity. In 2025, Andrade has only wrestled a handful of times on television, and with SmackDown now being a 3-hour presentation, there are zero excuses. A 3-hour product needs talent that produces high-level extended matches, and there's not a better candidate than the former NXT champion. During his time in NXT, the game pushed him to the moon, so it's unknown why this isn't happening on the main roster. Some fans are suggesting that Triple H pairs Andrade back up with Zelina Vega. This could work extremely well, as their chemistry in NXT was magic, and with both of them not doing anything of substance, what could possibly be the harm in reuniting the duo on the main roster? Number 5. Solo Sikoa. 2024 was the biggest year of Solo Sikoa's career. Triple H put a lot of faith in Sikoa, and whilst fans were critical of some of his work, Sikoa worked hard to get better at his craft, and he certainly deserves recognition for that. Now, it's also worth noting that Sikoa was put in a difficult position following WrestleMania 40. It was basically Sikoa's role to take over from Roman Reigns as a top heel within the Bloodline arc, and Sikoa was always going to find it difficult to match the greatness of Roman Reigns. Since Sikoa lost to Reigns on the Netflix premiere, he struggled to regain any momentum. Triple H has booked Sikoa in random side quests, and when the fans criticize him, he decides to act like they never occurred. Take for instance Sikoa returned to attack WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, and then it was basically retconned, and both men just moved on. As Sikoa is now in the middle of a storyline with Jacob Fatu, and Fatu has the crowd on his side. Once Fatu breaks away from Sikoa, Sikoa is definitely going to struggle to keep his place on the card. WWE has so much talent across the board, and they need to focus on names that are over with the crowd. Triple H must put a plan in motion to keep Sikoa's momentum intact, or else the entire 2024 Bloodline arc would have been for nothing. Number 4. Drew McIntyre. When it was initially reported that Drew McIntyre vs Damian Priest was a plan for WrestleMania 41, fans couldn't believe it. McIntyre was the MVP of WWE in 2024, and due to this, fans expected him in a major role on the grand stage, whether that be a world title match or even a match versus John Cena. The match with Priest feels like a massive step down for him, and it was even reported that McIntyre himself was dissatisfied with WWE's creative call. Now, Triple H hasn't fully fumbled McIntyre yet, but the booking could have been a lot better. The feud between the two has had a lot of focus on TV, and McIntyre's work has been excellent as always. Triple H must put a lot of focus on McIntyre coming out of WrestleMania 41. The King of the Ring win is perfect for McIntyre, and a McIntyre vs Rhodes showdown is fitting for SummerSlam. Number 3. Bayley. Fans were highly critical of Bayley's booking as Women's Champion last year. Triple H didn't have a plan in place for the reign, and Bayley was just going through the motions until she dropped the title to Nia Jax. Bayley then switched gears, and it looked like she was going to take on Roxanne Perez on the grand stage of WrestleMania, yet like many stories that WWE have been telling, this has been completely retconned. Roxanne is now back in NXT, whereas Bayley is on the hunt for the Women's Intercontinental title. Bayley is insanely valuable to WWE, and sometimes watching a presentation on TV, it feels like they're massively taking her for granted. Her social media is an interesting snapshot of her mind, and she often shares cryptic tweets that directly reflect her poor booking. In March of 2025, she tweeted, "Don't save me for later," and without a doubt this was her referencing how WWE decided to completely ignore her established program with Roxanne Perez. Number 2. Austin Theory. The WWE have teased the Austin Theory face turn so much that it's becoming a running joke on social media. Whilst you would think that fans have given up on Theory, that isn't the case. When they booked Theory to be squashed in seconds on Raw, fans were actively furious. The YouTube dislikes eclipsed 85,000, making it one of the most disliked WWE videos on the respective platform. Now, it's evident that Triple H isn't a major fan of Theory, and Triple H doesn't share the same vision that Vince McMahon shared. But with that being said, Theory clearly has something. This was the man that defeated John Cena at WrestleMania 39 for crying out loud, and he rarely wrestles on TV, and the chances of him being a main eventer are now extremely slim. Triple H should try to look at something new with Theory. The face turn is a great option, and they could even play into the idea that it's been teased for so long. Theory has a lot of talent, and it's time that Triple H realized this and gave Theory a chance to show him what he's made of. And number 1, Finn Balor. Fans are jokingly now labeling Finn Balor as Pin Balor, as that's all he seemed to do on TV. It was made clear under the old regime that Vince McMahon wasn't the biggest fan of Balor. Although McMahon made Balor the first ever Universal Champion, he never gave him a substantial push following the initial win. Fans gave up on the idea of Balor ever winning the world title again. During his time in NXT, he was established as the guy, and Triple H basically presented him as the face of the brand. Triple H was in awe of Balor, and every time he spoke publicly about him, he spoke insanely highly of him. Due to this, fans expected Balor to be one of the game's top guys when he took over creative, but this really hasn't happened. Whilst he's been given sporadic pushes here and there, he's lost every single big match, and now he's known as the name that puts everyone over. In fact, him pinning Penta on Raw this week was actually his first win since November 2024. He's been struggling to receive a reaction on TV, and when he made his entrance at the 2025 Rumble, you could hear a pin drop in the stadium as nobody was reacting. This was incredibly upsetting. This was the final product of a man that's been booked into the ground for almost a decade. Can he be fixed? Well, possibly, but he needs a vast overhaul in his presentation. A babyface turn is needed, and they need to present him with substance and credibility.